So here's what you should have done if you were a Nazi and you wanted to win the war. You should have enslaved the Jews and the Gypsies and had them work, right? You should have had them work for the benefit of the victory, and then if you wanted to, you liquidate them afterwards. That's the logical thing to do if you want to win. And we assume that Hitler wanted to win. But that's not a very intelligent assumption. Why would you assume that? He wasn't exactly a good guy. So why should we assume that he was aiming at the good that he was promoting, even in his own terms, right? The glorious, everlasting Third Reich, right? That'll rule for 1,000 years and be a bastion of civilization and music, because that's the sort of thing he purported to be interested in. Well, so what do you do with the Jews and the Gypsies? Well, round them up, fine. Enslave them, fine. You don't kill them. You certainly don't devote a substantial proportion of your war resources while you're losing to accelerate the rate at which the extermination is taking place. Because that's a bit counterproductive, unless what you're aiming at is the maximum possible mayhem in the shortest period of time. Well, so what happened as the Germans started to lose the war? Did Hitler lose faith in his own ability? No, he believed that the Germans had betrayed him with weakness. And so he was perfectly willing to accelerate the rate at which Germany was losing the war. And so when Hitler and his minions had the choice, here's the choice. You can suspend your unnecessary demolition of people, win the damn war, and then pick it up afterwards. Or while you're losing, you can just accelerate the mayhem even though it's counterproductive. It's like, what'd they pick? Well, they picked to accelerate the mayhem. And so to me, there's an old psychoanalytic idea. I think this was derived by Jung. If you can't figure out what someone is doing or why, look at the outcome and infer the motivation. If it produces mayhem, perhaps it was aiming at mayhem. Now, you have to use that dictum carefully. If someone's irritating you, maybe it's because you're irritable and you should sort yourself out, but maybe it's because they're actually aiming at irritating you. And that's the actual motivation. So perhaps not, but it's another tool in your analytical armament. So, and so you see, well, and this is the thing about warfare that's so interesting about because you can attribute it to territoriality. You can attribute it to a war for resources. That's what the, I would say, wretchedly simple-minded economists presume. People fight over scarce resources. It's like, hey, we're a little bit more sophisticated than that. And first of all, what resources are you talking about? The bloody Inuit had nothing. They lived perfectly well. What did they have? Snow and seal blubber. People can live in unbelievably deprived conditions. And so the idea that there are natural resources that we fight over because there's a shortage of them is a pretty oversimplified view of human beings. It's like, well, why do people fight? Well, maybe they fight sometimes for good reasons. But very, very frequently they fight for bad reasons. And those bad reasons are personal as well as sociocultural and economic. If you were a Nazi prison guard, for example, whatever pathologies you were carrying around in your destructive little soul, whatever element of Cain was deeply embedded in you, had the opportunity to be manifest fully at every moment of your waking existence, right? You had these people who were completely beholden to you, with no rights whatsoever, to whom you could do whatever your evil little heart determined. Think, well, maybe that was a motivation for putting them there to begin with. And all the cover story about, well, we're trying to build the Third Reich and we're trying to stabilize the state and we're trying to do all these good things. Maybe that's just a cover story for the real motivation, which is nothing but what? The construction of death camps that killed 6 million people. How about that? And the obliteration of 120 million people on the planet, and the leaving of Europe in ruins. Maybe that was the motivation. Or are we going to attribute to Hitler the highest possible motives? Say, no, it's an archetypal manifestation of Cain. Now, he's going to put up a front that says, well, I'm your savior. It's like, well, destructive people think that Cain is their savior.
Yeah. Again, I just want people to look at things a little bit differently, right? We've all been given a certain, not that he's going way off the rails here on this particular topic, but it's just coming at it from a different perspective. Like, was at the point, was he trying to win the war? Was Hitler trying to win the war? Maybe in the beginning, maybe in the middle, and then maybe towards the end, he was just going full bore and just concentrating on destruction. And he gives another interesting talk. Maybe we'll do that one on a later time on, everyone's, self-proclaimed altruism in thinking that, they would have been the one that fought against Hitler or disobeyed or something like that. And that's a very easy thing to say in, living in a comfortable society or just not living in that era. But going back to this particular video, it's just, he's using that, obviously, this story, to just try to give you a view and sense of the world and of people and of what they're doing, and to think about maybe what they're doing, not to overthink it, rather. If somebody is doing something to you or to society, initially, just look at it at its face value. What are the results? What are the results? What is it accomplishing? What is it doing? And then you also have to be careful, because we live in a very, our information stream is insane at this point, right? I mean, we have computers in our pockets. We have, screens everywhere. We have information flying all over the place. So you do still have to understand what the outcome actually is, right? Don't just look at the first, thing that pops up on your phone and take that and run with it. If it's something that's worthy to you, again, we can't research everything. We can't dive deep into every single subject. However, if something is, you believe, if something is shaping your life, you should take a look at it, and you should understand, why that came about. And maybe the people or the person or whoever it is that's doing it, maybe that's exactly what they intended to do. And but Jordan is a fascinating person. We'll do some more on him. I always forget to do this till the very end, which is dumb because everyone may have left by now. But if you can, give me a like, give me a share, give me a subscribe. I really appreciate everything. And we'll see you again real soon.